Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Just an update for you guys who are sticking around and looking at the cantata. Unfortunately, it's going to be put on the back burner for a while. I'm still waiting on parts for it, and it's been frustrating. I've got this 60 hertz audio hum that I can't seem to get rid of, and it's just not. It's not broadcast ready. It never was broadcast ready, but it's just not ready. But I'll update you guys as soon as it's back, and continue our regularly scheduled program of 3M background music library music. But in the meantime, I got some content for you if you're interested. so, so lately I've been having trouble keeping track of things. I guess as you get older, not that old, but as you get older, shit happens. And I found myself having to use, legal pads. I used to use these in college. I used to use them when I first started working. They're handy, they're useful, but they're not exactly what you would call portable, easy to use things in, for day-to-day activity. So I was looking around and I'm like, okay, what do I do? Do I use my phone? And I've always been, I've always used Android. Android works for the most part. But I found that every time I put something on the to-do list, I would get ads for the thing I have to do on my to-do list. And it's got a little frustrating. It's like, okay, I'm going to the dentist. I don't want to see ads for other dentists in my area. I already like my dentist. That's just an example. And it just got to the point where I'm like, okay, screw it. I'm not using the phone anymore for organization. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll get a PDA or something that, I used to use in the past. I mean, Palm TX, God's gift to mankind right here. It's what I was rocking in college. It's great. Problem is they don't make these anymore. They don't make any PDAs. As of this recording in 2021, I cannot find a GUI-driven PDA that, like in the traditional sense, PDA meaning that it keeps contacts, calendars, to-do, calculator, just basic PDA-like stuff. They don't make a modern equivalent. They seem to have peaked around 2012, they peaked around 2009, like just after the iPhone started getting good, and then they completely disappeared by 2012. I think if you were to look for a modern replacement for a PDA, I think you would actually have to use an iPod Touch. That's kind of how depressing things have gotten. If you want a non-phone personal digital assistant, I think that would probably be the only thing available that could replicate it. To my surprise, so while I was looking for a replacement, to my surprise, the thing that PDAs were meant to replace, the Filofax, they actually still make these. They actually still sell these. They actually sell refills. And I spent money and I bought this one myself. It's ugly ass fawn color. I mean, it was the cheapest thing they have, but it works. It's literally I don't want to call it a diary, but it's a organizer. You got files for things, you got to do, you got a little graph paper for making notes. I mean, you got all sorts of things. I mean, I just started using it, so don't hate me too much, but yeah, it's literally a date diary, to keep track of things, and I find it to be useful. But one of the problems with it is it's not exactly the most pocketable device, and if I lose it, it's gone. There's no backup, there's no nothing. It's kind of like your brain is kept on, this one book. So I was like, okay, there's got to be a different option here. Of course, you can use an iPod Touch, but I'm just not into that. So I started like, okay, maybe the solution is out there, but it's not a modern solution. It's a 20-year-old solution. So I started going through my closet. I started pulling out stuff, and I started pulling out the old Palm Pilots. I mean, we're talking We're talking first generation Palm Pilots. We're talking that Palm 3 that I pulled out. That Palm 3 I pulled out of the box. We're talking, that generation stuff. And I find that they still work. They still do what they're supposed to do. And it came to I had an idea, why don't I, start comparing these, in a modern sense, for other people. Maybe there's other people out there that are also frustrated with mobile phones. I'm not saying that I'm a Luddite and you shouldn't use a mobile phone. I'm just saying that maybe there's a better way to organize, and this might be it. So I started looking around and pulling things out. I mean, yeah, if you want crazy, we're gonna get crazy here. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm very limited on Windows CE devices, so if you're looking for Windows CE, this is not the place. Got Windows Mobile, but Windows CE is something that I'm not too familiar with. So we got Newtons, we got Palms, we got Windows Mobile devices. I've got oddities. I've got third-party Royal Da Vinci's. I've got Oregon Scientific weird ones. I got several versions of Dell Axion. I mean, we got all sorts of crazy things here. And I thought to myself, it'd be a good idea to field test, these things for maybe a week, 2 weeks, kind of get a feel on how capable each one is, and compare it to basically the granddaddy. How does it compete against the Filofax? And we're going to see some surprises. I mean, I already know how this Palm 3X is going to behave. I've used it so much. It's, I can almost operate it blind. But all the other stuff is, let's see. We don't need to worry about connectivity. We don't need to worry about, the internet. It just needs to make notes, contacts, calendars, synchronizing data onto another device just in case, and reliability. So I kind of broke it down based on, I've actually got a point scheme. I think this is how we're going to do this shootout for PDAs for 2021. A couple of criteria that I'm going to look at is, number one, usability. How hard is it to input data onto these devices? What's going on? The thing to match, not necessarily beat or get close to, is how difficult it is. So when you write stuff on paper, you put pen to paper, data is basically transferred instantly onto the paper. There's no confusion. You screw up, you scribble it out, keep on going. It's a very difficult thing to beat. So that's one thing. The second theme within usability is, how pocketable is it? If you take a look at the Filofax, not so much. If you take a look at a Palm Pilot, it's better. But there's other options like this that are even smaller. So we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at speed. How fast is it? How responsive? If I whip this out in the grocery store and say, hey, I need X, Y, and Z, and I write it down, or I'm in the parking lot and I write something down, how difficult is it to enter data? Second one, data synchronization. If I lose my Filofax, and it just goes, it's gone. There's no way to recover that data. If you have a Palm Pilot, traditionally it would have some kind of cradle or dock where it would reside on your desk. You roll in. It happens to be right here. You roll in. It's connected to your Windows 3.11 machine. Slam this down. It'd wake up, you press the button, and it automatically starts synchronizing your data. And it's great. It's always worked, and that's one of the things that Palm is known for. That's important. We need to figure out, okay, from the varying devices, what does the desktop support look like? Can I run it in Windows 10? Do I have to have a legacy XP machine floating around? What type of desktop PIMs does it support? Outlook? Does it support a modern version of Outlook? Does it have its own version? What type of data is so these devices, they'll basically have some kind of internal database. Can I browse it? Can I extract that data? Can I transfer it to another device? Let's say, I know for if you're within the Palm ecosystem you can, but let's say I wanted to connect and move data from my Newton to my Palm Pilot. Can we do that? And I think the last category is going to be reliability. Okay, all these devices are over 20 years old. Most of them. This thing is 96. This thing's 96. What else we got here? I've got an original Newton that's 93. These things are, well past the legal drinking age, in the United States, and I need to know, if I'm going to be doing this long term, what is the long term outlook? Is this something that I'm going to be like, all right, I need to start collecting all the mint condition Palm 3s just so that I have a supply to last, the next 15 years until something better comes along, or I just roll a 7 and end up dead. That's kind of like, okay, so that's a priority. How common are they? Like, I know on the Apple Newtons, specifically the original message pad, which I have right here, these things are starting to leak capacitors. They have leaky capacitors in them, and they stop playing audio. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I know these ones were some of the earliest, most complicated ones. I don't even know what these look like inside. Excuse me. And, I just can't imagine what these look like, the more modern equivalents look like inside. It's just a matter of time until what's happening to these happens to these. And this guy, I think, is one of the last ones they made. It's like an 06 or an 07. And then what's going to happen 20 years from now? These are probably going to be all dead. No battery. At least these guys, they all take AAAs and AAs, and they're still usable, long term. But these things, the time's running out on them. So they're gonna do quite poorly in reliability. Yeah, so those I think are the 4 categories I got for comparing PDAs. I think it's going to be somewhere around a spread of 50 points. Just kind of, and then I can give you a clear, okay, this is going to be it. At least it's subjective. I know if I'm going to run this and I'm going to run it my way, this is going to win hands down. I love these. I'm already going to tell you, I love the Palm TX. This is the hardest case to find nowadays. I just love these, and I'm biased. So just FYI, when this review comes out, keep that in mind. Yeah, that's it. I don't have anything else. I mean, it's depressing to. I mean, it's not depressing. I know that basically the Palm Treo is, well, people say the IBM Bell Simon is the first smartphone per se, but I mean, when you want to talk about actual usable smartphone, meaning something that you could go online with and do things with, I would argue and say I think it's the Palm Treo is probably one of the first smartphones. Actually, that's not right. It's a Kyocera. I'll throw up a picture of it if I see it. Anyway, I think it's a gosh, I think it's just depressing. It's just, I know that the PDA's morphed into the smartphone, but they've gotten to a point where we've lost control over them. I mean, I don't want to, use this and, basically be told the dentist I'm using is no good. I'm tired of it. I want this. Let's say you forget to enter a date into a cell phone. You missed it. If you forget to enter a date into this thing, you miss it. I mean, nothing's changed in 30 years. It's the same shit, different day, There have been improvements, but I just don't like when the newest, latest, and greatest is spying on me. It could just be all in my brain. It could just all be in my head, and I'm just getting tired and I'm looking at coincidences. But I don't think so. As soon as I stop putting my to-do list inside my my phone, my advertisements change. It's like something was looking at what was being written on my phone and actually interpreting it and making suggestions, which, I mean, you think about it. If you wanted a personal digital assistant that is trying to help you, I mean, fair enough. But to me, that's an obtrusive assistant, and I don't want it. They're going to be handed their walking papers, and I'm going to find another one. And I'm going to find the one that knows how to type in the correct sense. So there we go. There's my idea anyway, is, you know, basically a 2021 shootout for PDAs, you know, nice wide variety if I find any more. I used to have an HP Jornada 680. I've used Windows CE before. It was okay. Didn't really care for it. I sold it a long time ago, and I was pricing them out the other day, and they're like $130. So we're not going that route. That's way too much for me. You know, for these things, I mean, Apple Newtons, I just happened to have these. I picked them up somewhere cheap long ago. Same with these other guys. They're all over the place. And I mean, if you're paying, let's say for Palm 3 XE with everything, if you're paying more than $40 for one, you're doing it wrong. You know, there's exceptions. There's new boxes. There's, you know, if you don't want somebody's grease on it, you know, you want something new, you know, new in the box, you're gonna have to pay a premium for it. But the rest of the stuff, nah, they're almost worthless. I mean, people are just cleaning out their closets and almost handing it to you. So there it is. Thanks for watching. Sorry for rambling a little bit there. I'm just extremely frustrated. I'm very disappointed that nobody makes a standalone PDA. I mean, to be fair, I am not even going to look at the 3, 4, 5 line little, you know, a Scion Organizer 2, a lot of the Casio. There's a lot of Casio, like 2 or 3 line ones, and some Citizen ones. Those aren't PDAs. those are glorified calculators. I don't want anything to do with those. They're handy, but can you imagine sitting there in the you know, in the grocery store doing, you know, on a little black and white device doing this? No. I mean, we do that with our phones already. If you're going to go that route, buy a phone. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we're going to have some fun unboxing stuff too on the way there. That's something my wife told me on my way out to the shed to film this. She said, graffiti, how can you read graffiti? Recognition that works, I don't believe it. She has a point. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.